right, guys, welcome back to List Night. I'm going to try and keep it a little bit low key. You know, last episode, we kept it arguably too low key for this intro. Usually we go a little bit overboard with how excited I get because I'm so glad to see Andrew and Thomas all the time, which is just, it's such a mistake. But having seen them this past weekend at our good friend's wedding, I'm not as excited to see them as I normally would be. We're back for another episode. We haven't had a new episode in a while. So pretty excited to get this one underway. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, each one of us put out an idea for what we wanted our next episode to be. And I thought that I'd hit it out of the park. And yes, I did just do a baseball swing motion below the camera. I thought that I'd hit it out of the park. Thomas and Andrew disagreed. So of the 3 ideas that we put out there, this is the third one that we're going to be recording. And so for this week's episode, we're going to be doing events that we'd make in the movies. Before we jump into it, our order this week is going to be Andrew, then it's going to be Thomas, and I'm going to go last. I don't know. You guys want to get into anything before we get going this week? I feel like every conversation we could have had on this podcast, we had over this past weekend.
Yeah, but I don't remember part of the weekend. I do want to preface this with, I feel like all of us are a mess in one way or another right now. Sure. Andrew more than anyone, because he doesn't even know what technology is today. But
I've had some technology issues. I've had some technology issues leading up to this moment.
The big T.
But now I'm ready-ish. This topic we've known about for longer than probably any other topic that we've done on List Night, and I feel the most unprepared for this one.
It's been on our spreadsheet for a long time, and we suggested it a long time ago. Kept pushing back recordings. 2 of us went back to Maryland and DC for a wedding. Obviously, we all went to the wedding, but 2 of us had to travel for it. Andrew, you didn't. You're lazy.
Here's the thing.
And reasons I should be prepared, but
it says a lot about our personalities, or maybe just mine, but you guys too, because I know you did the same thing. That we've known for probably a month that we were doing this.
Yeah.
And I still made my list less than 6 hours ago. I mean, I made my list the last 24 hours.
I made my list. I made my list 6 hours ago. I'm basically on the dot.
Until about 5 o'clock, I had one thing on my list.
Yeah. And this was my idea. So you would have thought that, like, when I came up with the idea for the list, that I would have, had something in the back of my mind. Didn't have a thing. Didn't have one single idea.
My best work is done in the fourth quarter with the shot clock winding down.
I don't think anyone would agree with you. I don't think anyone feels that way.
This is just
your
a metaphor.
Dad
this is not
your basketball coach, and he would still disagree.
I'm not literally talking about basketball skills, because
I'm also not talking about basketball skills. I would argue that you are not a clutch performer. I don't think you've got a clutch gene. Thomas, clutch gene. Griffin, pretty disappointing all around. Andrew, when the lights get bright, he gets out of Dodge.
I'm not going to argue with me, but why does Thomas have a clutch gene?
Let's not argue. Let's not argue.
I don't know, because right now,
let me have this.
I'm dogging you, but I don't want to big up myself. And Thomas is my only other option of a friend to big up, or a podcast co-host. So I've run out of options. I never had that many to begin with, and now I've fully run out of them. Yeah, flex on the camera, buddy.
You're dwindling by the day.
Hang on, am I bleeding? No,
you're not bleeding. No. Weird thing to ask on a video.
Andrew, are you gonna give us your shitty list, or what's up?
Yeah, are you gonna get back to dinner? I know you were eating.
I'm gonna guess that 3 of these are already movies, 2 of them are not real things, and those could cross over.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Most significant events, like, obviously have been made movies. At least one movie, probably like 40 movies. But I came up with a list that is respectable. Some of these, like, are destined to become movies for sure, and other ones are, like, goofier that I thought would be a good idea. Yes, Griffin. I
have a question. Before we get going, can we give a general idea of what we think each person's list is going to be? I was talking to Julia about this while I was walking Vino around. For example, I imagine that Thomas' list is going to be about half comedy and half things that he learned on episodes of The Dollop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Andrew's list, I think, is going to be a little bit sports and a little bit history, and probably 1 or 2 picks that are a little bit too niche.
Andrew's
that's pretty spot the fuck on.
I was gonna say, I was gonna guess presidential for Andrew and sports, And yeah, there's gonna be at least one where we're like, people are gonna love it, but we won't know why. We won't know
Griffin,
why.
you had not suggested that we do predictions. Now I feel self-conscious.
You shouldn't feel self-conscious. Look, we've been doing this. First off, we've been doing this for 2 years. You and I have been friends for 12, 13 years. You and Thomas have been friends for 25 years. Like, at a certain point, you learn a person.
So Griffin's is gonna be sports and like the invention of weird shirts, right?
Weird shirts.
Yeah. It's gonna be like
Blouses.
it's gonna be like half sports and half things that are really just related to him that he thinks other people want to know about, like when his dad left or something.
There will be something on
Okay.
there.
Well,
There's gonna be
outside of how
something on
cutting
there.
that was,
Guess what? That movie never ends.
you know how like 45 seconds ago I was like, yeah, we've been friends for a long time. I know a lot about you guys. You guys clearly don't know shit about me because none
No,
of that relates to my list.
I think there's gonna be stuff on your list that are like cool inventions, and you want to see how they got made. And then something Star Wars, because almost always Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we get to my list, we'll see
Yeah,
how
Griffin's
how
gonna
right
be
you may
like,
be.
so Star Wars. Someone should make that into a movie.
The
Or is
making
this gonna be
of
like-
the making of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Number 5, How I Met Andrew. Number 4, How I Met Thomas.
You
All
think
right.
that you'd be ahead of him?
No, oh yeah.
I
Well,
think I met you guys at the same time.
you're the clutch one, apparently.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah, you are the clutch one. All right. Well, I do
speaking-
apologize for interjecting so that we could do the predictions. I just really wanted to see how we were going to land on them. Andrew, I won't interrupt again. I'm happy to hear your list. I can't wait to win the voting this week.
Well, speaking of clutch, and speaking of you ruining my list by predicting a sports one, I do have a sports one as my number 5, which will eventually be at least a 30 for 30. It will probably be a feature length film, but it has to do with LeBron's career specifically. I'm going with 2011 to 2018, the stretch of 8 straight finals appearances. I just think there's so many ups and downs, like even within that one part of his career, which is crazy that those 8 years are just like a single part of his larger career. But it goes from, the failure of the Mavs series to, I guess it could start with the decision. So then
I think it would have to.
Yeah. So then the Mavs series, and then, obviously the 2 wins, and then the loss against the Spurs, and then you're into the Warriors dynasty years. And I just think that as a whole would be a really cool, it's going to be either a movie or maybe it would be like a Last Dance like series, but I think it could be done well as a movie.
So I guess my first question is this a documentary style film, like a long form 30 for 30 style thing, or is this like the recent Winning Time show on HBO, or like any other sports movie, like I Remember the Titans or something like that, where
Or like
an
a
actor is portraying LeBron James?
or like a Space Jam 3 type situation.
He doesn't
I'm
get to
gonna-
be in 2 Space Jams
Why not?
because the second one sucked.
I never watched it.
I'm gonna
Go
say
on.
that I'm gonna say this one's like a documentary style, because now that I'm re-looking at my list, my next one's also a sports one, and I want that one to be a more like drama. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Like reenactment.
Biopic
Yeah, kind of like a biopic, sort of.
within like a specific constraint.
So, kind of, yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So for this one, I'd say just kind of like like standard sports documentary style.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I would big King James fan. I would obviously watch it. I think you're absolutely going to get it in terms of like a long form TV series, because I think I remember reading when The Last Dance was airing that LeBron had actually recently started developing his own project that was pretty similar. Granted, I mean, there's a huge difference between like a 2-hour documentary film and a 10-hour Netflix or HBO event. So who knows how much they'll be able to capture with it. But yeah, I'm fully on board. I'll watch anything LeBron James, basketball, whatever.
I'm not saying I won't like watch it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But boring pick. I mean, really doesn't excite me at all. I really thought you'd come in with some heat, and you didn't. Pretty
Well,
disappointed.
Griffin basically predicted it along with all my other picks. So. Honestly, I'm only happy with my top 2, So my
Don't tell
bottom-
people that. Don't say
my-
that during the podcast.
I'm
A
saying
lot of
it. I'm not
confidence,
hiding
lot of
anything anymore.
confidence.
But my bottom three are very predictable, as Griffin pointed out. But also just kind of like whatever. Okay.
I
no,
feel
but
like you're
here's-
insulting me every time that you're basically trying to say that I insulted you by calling you predictable. You're not predictable. You just, you have what you like. And those things are sports and
Yeah, but
improv
he's-
comedy.
Here's the thing. His list on paper, people gonna be like, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. I was like, come on,
Bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
watch a film.
All right. So my number 4 is going to be like a dramatic reenactment or a biopic, whatever you want to call it.
Of
And-
LeBron's 8 straight final appearances.
no, but it is a sports one. Being in the DC area, this one is something I want to see. It's going to be on the recent Washington Commanders scandal, and hopefully this gets made in the future and it gets to end with Dan Snyder going to prison. I'm just hoping that's like the fairy tale ending that everyone wants and deserves and gets. But it'd be something like some sort of like clever title, like fail to the Redskins crossed out football team crossed out Commanders, something like that.
That's amazing. I'd see that movie opening night.
And
So
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. I thought you were gonna go with the Valor's incredible second season of going 2-8 and win the championship. This is a little more dramatic.
Hey, we were
Um,
founding fans.
But yeah, this is I won't watch it because I don't care. But it's an okay pick.
I just think like this is one of those things that I'm sure, as the shitty billionaire that he is, all this like half the stuff that should come out about this scandal will never come out. But this is just living in a reality where it does, and you get
Yeah.
into like all the financial malfeasance, all the like terrible like sexual allegations like coming out, and him, yeah, like I said, going to prison. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Here's the thing: he'll make money off of it.
right, yeah, and yeah, that is true. That would hold me back from wanting this movie to get made, because yeah, in the end he would get richer somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'm being biased because I'm from the DC area to think that like it's legitimately like one of the most dysfunctional organizations in all of not just sports but just in all of
Universally reviled.
Right.
They are to an extent, the town is at this point.
Yeah, Washington sucks.
I mean, in the last like year and a half, it's like every other
So
day
much.
there's something new that comes out, whether it's like pawning off the cheerleaders, like in sexual ways, or like, yeah, like I said, like financial troubles, or like the stadium falling apart, or like them screwing up like the name change, or
Stadium falling apart like 3 times in the same season.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally almost killing Thomas's quarterback there.
Yeah.
During that Eagles football team game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that you hope that it ends with like a happy ending and Dan Snyder going to jail. I was rewatching Trial of the Chicago 7 the other day, and I have a cursory understanding of all the events that went on with it, but the ending of it is a little bit like, it's a little bit too theatrical, where basically at the end of it, it's like any story where everyone is like, and then they all stood up and clapped after you made like a great point kind of thing. That kind of ending, I don't like it. I don't enjoy them. But if that were the ending to a Dan Snyder film that involves him going to prison and everyone standing up and clapping, it would make my short list of best films ever. I don't even care if it's a bad movie. It would just make me so happy.
See, here's the thing. What I'm picturing is Dan Snyder goes to jail. He gets out. He writes a book, makes a shit ton of money, and then makes a Wolf of Wall Street type movie off of it, and makes a shit ton of money off of it.
Well, hey, let's not be pessimistic. Maybe he dies in jail.
Okay. Okay, that's a curveball I wasn't ready for.
Were you not
can't hit the curve.
ready for
I
that?
can't hit the curve. I now the secret's out. I
You
can't do
struggle
it.
with off speed. Everyone knows that about you. That's okay. I struggle with everything.
And he's the clutch one. I don't know.
God, you're gonna hold on to some things that I said at the beginning of this. pod
Not
for a
letting Matt
while.
go.
All right, yeah, I think it's a good pick. Thomas, I think disagrees, but I like it. You're 2 for 2
I
with me.
disagree out of principle, just because it's not my list.
I think I agree on principle because so far my predictions are looking great.
Yeah. All right.
Give us the third one that you also don't care about. Andrew.
No, because my third one, honestly, of all of them, is the most predictable. I think if I say that, Griffin can probably guess like at least the
I feel like-
ballpark of what
Hey,
it is. Or maybe
I
you
think
can
it's-
too.
The birth of Patrick Mahomes.
No. It's one that depresses me. And you know me. You know me.
The election of Donald Trump.
I don't like to get into politics.
The
I'm
election
not
of
a fan.
Donald Trump.
Not a fan. Not even just the election. I was gonna say his presidency, like just from start to finish. And this is one where it's again like I'm not to be boring, but I'm trying to decide between just like a normal ass documentary and like a dramatic reenactment, because they could both be good. Like I was trying to find like a funny way to spin this into like a comedy, but
You could do like Vice recently.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
could do, which, and this is actually going to be a reference later on in the episode for me, but you could do like a Death of Stalin, where you have a bunch of people play super exaggerated versions of the characters involved, but at the same time, they're not exaggerated in some respects. And it's like, these are actually what these human beings acted like. And it's just like very dry and awful at how awful these people are. I mean, yeah, I'm still on board with it regardless. I personally, like, there's going to be a million documentaries made about it. So I think having it be like a feature film or like a Netflix series, if we want to say that's a possibility, that's the more interesting option, is to do it like a dramatic version.
So, yeah, like what initially made me think about putting this on my list, I was originally just going to say like from the 2020 election through Joe Biden's inauguration, because just all the shit that went down. And yes, the January 6th like commission right now is like kind of like reminding people of that time period. But then I was just like, there were so many things that just like would have destroyed any other politician during his time in office, and even
Not Corona though. That
his
wasn't
first
his
campaign.
fault.
Well, yeah, but like things he said, I'm saying that if any other politician said them, like would have just destroyed them forever, and things that he did. So like it, the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it's got to be the whole thing. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of happy thoughts to say about this, but I'll just leave it at
No,
that.
not at all. I mean, it sucks to say it's an incredible story of like
How not
it-
incredible
it-
this country is.
exactly. It opened so many eyes and didn't open enough eyes about how fucked up things are. And yeah, I mean, a movie could do more. I
think I'm just a big fan from the last two picks of dysfunction in movies.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
There'd be a lot of mini stories to dive into with this one and the previous one. So
yeah.
and it's shocker that it has to do with corrupt and terrible billionaires as the head
And
figure
DC.
of both those. And DC, yeah, what a terrible place.
And
Yeah.
the Miami Heat and the
should
Cleveland
move.
Cavaliers.
All right, I'll move on quickly because you know me, I don't like to dive into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't like the monologue.
You hate talking about this stuff. Everyone knows that about you.
Now here's one that I would like to see. I was gonna say this one as a biopic, but I'm gonna go comedy. I'm gonna do like a mockumentary or like comedy style movie about the decision to demote Pluto from a planet to a dwarf planet.
Oh,
On
Fucking
August 24th, 2006. I think it would be funny if it was like overly, like this movie was filmed in an overly dramatic way, and there was like a ton of like long pauses, and like just like the world was like resting in the hands of like these few scientists who were like coming up with this final decision. And yeah, like I want the main character to get like death threats every day from like all these like millennials who like don't want Pluto to not be a planet anymore because they get unreasonably upset about that for some reason. And then like his family gets a bunch of threats too, and it's like it gets like super dramatic, but it's like a mockumentary style comedy.
at the start of tonight, I was determined to not like anything on your list, and I was doing really well. But I'm in. I'm in.
So
You had me at Pluto.
he had you at Pluto, I think.
Would you come
yeah.
to the midnight premiere dressed as Pluto?
No, I'm a matinee guy now.
Thomas already dressed as Pluto.
It's true.
I
What's
ju-
that supposed to mean?
It's
fat?
sad.
Because
Am I round?
You got
Do I float?
you got a circular face.
Am I gravitational?
That's why you wear hats, because you got a circular face.
The reason I thought of this one is because I was like looking up like, you know,
Planets?
big events in world history.
Planets.
No, like big events in world history that like would be good for movies. And then I thought of the way I think of this is the way I'm imagining this movie to be, which is like almost as a joke. I put this in that group of like big things that change the world, because that's how people our age act. Like they literally, if you ask them how
To
many
be
planets
fair,
there
it did
are,
change everything. So
people are still like, there's 9, there's not 8. When I was a kid, there was 9. Like, well, fuck
Yeah.
off. There's now 8 and deal with it.
So
here's the thing: you were searching big historical events, and you landed on Pluto,
yeah,
a planet.
here's what I think happened. I think you watched the Rick and Morty episode about Pluto and how it's no longer a planet. And then I think you got on Netflix and you watched Don't Look Up, starring Jonah Hill and others. And you combined those two concepts and you were like, yeah, this is the thing that happened. There were a lot of people denying the Earth was going to be destroyed in that movie. And people got really mad when Pluto was gone. I don't know how creative of a pick this is. And maybe I'm just making that up because I think this is a really good pick and I wish it was on my list.
You know, I created. It's probably someone is probably currently writing this script already. But that
If
doesn't
they're
change
not,
the
they
fact that I
should
want to
be.
watch it. If
Yeah,
not, we
got to
should
get on
find
it.
someone to do it.
If we knew
It won't be
creative
us.
people, there's so many things that they could just mine from this below average podcast, but we don't
Oh,
know creative people.
That's not
We
fair.
just know
I think
us.
we're very average.
You
I think
think
it's a very average podcast.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you know, do either of you know the reason why it got demoted?
I feel like I'm not gonna pretend. I don't know.
Did they just change the classification
small.
on the actual size necessary to
enough
be a
gas.
planet, or like how dense it has to be or something? I don't know.
So I'm looking at it now. It has to be a planet. It's got to orbit the sun. Check. It has to have a nearly round shape or some. Yeah. Check.
Spherical.
And then the third thing is it has to clear the neighborhood. It has to clear the neighborhood. In other words, it has to like be the dominant gravitational body around its orbit, which it's not, because Pluto's moon, they're almost like a dual
I do remember
gravitational
that.
system. Yeah.
Because isn't Pluto's moon actually bigger than it? Or am I making that up?
It's like almost the same size, I think. Sharon, I think is the
So
name.
I'm making it up.
Sharon? I don't
Sharon? It's
Sharon.
Pluto's
Wow.
moon
Yeah.
is Sharon?
No,
I think what happened is
I
Pluto
sound like an
wanted a
idiot now.
divorce from Sharon, and
I mean, you
this is the
look,
only way
you
to
might
do
be
it.
right.
It is.
It's
I don't
just
know.
like in a world where there's like Titan and cool things like that.
It might be
and, like,
Charon.
Luna. There's
I
I
thought it
think
was
it's probably
Sharon.
that's probably what it is. I don't think it's
It's-
Sharon.
Well, yeah, not like whatever. All right. Yeah,
How do you
it's
spell
It
it?
just
very,
makes me think of Ozzy Osbourne as the moon, just
Is it
screaming
spelled
at
with
his
a
wife.
C? Is it spelled with the C?
Oh, I just thought of a better idea. It
I think
should.
so. Yes,
the
I
mov-
think
the
that's.
movie,
I think it's like a god. Yeah.
the movie
So
should
yeah,
be
it's
about
from Greek mythology.
the movie should be about Pluto and Sharon getting divorced, and then Sharon gets all the money
The
and
kids.
becomes the planet, and Pluto is relegated
Becomes
to a
the
dwarf planet. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right.
I didn't think we were going to talk about my parents on this podcast, but it feels like we're trending in that direction.
Why wouldn't we?
Number one is a Pixar movie.
Rush is fast.
It
Rush
could
is
not-
fast.
Number one could not be done as anything else than a Pixar movie, and it also has to do with celestial bodies. This time, the Earth, and it's going to be about the time period of the breakup of Pangea, and there's going to be some great characters in this movie. They're going to be
about Pangea.
the
But you don't know about Pangea?
it's going to be a Pixar love story between two different animals, but they're on different continents, and they start to drift apart. And I haven't worked out all the details of what the exact plot's going to be, but I imagine one of them building a boat or something. I don't know, but it's going to be centered around the fact that Pangea is breaking up, and it's going to be for the family. It's summer blockbuster. Don't be surprised if Pixar does this eventually.
I think this is DreamWorks
Go-
at best.
Go ahead, Tom.
I don't
I'm
think
pretty sure
Pixar's
there's
picking this up.
already a like Disney Pixar short film that they showed before another film that was two islands like breaking up.
Oh yeah, lava.
Lava.
It's a volcano by itself, and then there's another volcano under the sea, and the one volcano is singing about how it's alone, and then the other one bursts to the surface, and then they combine into a super volcano. It's my favorite Pixar animated short. I play it all the time when my family was in town. I played it for my family, and
Okay, so this
both
is
my
a little
mom and
different
my
than that.
sister cried a lot.
Also sounds a little like Moana.
And I think it played before Moana, if I remember
No,
correctly.
I meant Andrew's thing.
Oh well,
I think it did play from before Moana.
I think it did. It's based on Israel, whatever, from Hawaii. It's him and his wife is what the character designs are based on.
Gotcha.
Andrew, I like the idea. I did not expect there to be an animated feature about the divorce of a
The
supercontinent
breakup.
on anyone's list. I don't know how anyone could have predicted that. So when I gave predictions earlier, no, this is not what I was thinking of. This is way beyond what I was thinking of.
I want you to know my notes now say for your number one, Pangea breakup, parentheses, Pixar.
Yeah, no, that's how I'm gonna memorialize this. I considered when I was like gonna talk about what the movie would be about. I considered just the continents themselves being the characters, but that might be difficult. I'm sure Pixar can work its magic and figure something out, but
I'm picturing like Wall-E, but Pangea time.
yeah, it's gonna be emotional. Very
It's going to be emotional. That's absolutely.
unnecessarily emotional.
Yeah, I don't even
You guys
know what
still have
direction you're
emotions?
going with it. Like, is it like
The possibilities are endless.
they're not? But there's a
not.
lot of them. I mean, like considering we're starting with one supercontinent, like there's one possibility, and then there's a couple more. I don't know. I don't know
who
about
else had
Pangea.
thought possibilities were endless? Pluto and Charon,
Sharon.
and then it ended.
I really wish I thought of titles for all these movies before I finished my list, because
Again, we're not creative.
I think
like that.
if you gave me an hour, I could think of some very clever titles. But
That wasn't the
Assignment?
prompt.
you know what? While you guys are
look.
doing your list, I'm not going to be listening at all. I'm just going to be furiously thinking of titles for.
You can
movies.
leave.
Oh, so like every other episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you listened to us at any point in time?
Yeah.
All right. Let's.
I
Get
just
my
throw
recap.
softballs to you, and you refuse to hit them out of the park. You refuse because you're not clutch.
Speaking of which, my number 5 was LeBron getting to 8 straight finals in a 30 for 30 style documentary.
That will be called Not Clutch.
My number
I hope it's not
4.
called that.
My number 4 is the Washington football team scandal of like 2020 to 2022 ish.
Are we called Not Clutch 2?
I thought that was going to be called fail to the Redskins / Washington football team / Commanders. That one you did have a title for.
I did have a title for that one.
You did have a title for that one. That's
number-
where you thrive is sports titles.
My number 3 was I don't remember what style movie what genre we settled on, but it's about the Trump presidency, especially highlighting the time period between the 2020 election and Biden's inauguration. Number 2 was about the decision to demote Pluto, and number 1, an animated Pixar movie about the breakup of Pangea.
Solid one.
I really enjoy number 1. I feel like my
Not
reaction when
great
you said it was not, it didn't incorporate how I felt enough about it. It's a really good one, especially the fact that you chose for it to be animated.
How could it not be?
I mean, it has to be animated.
I mean,
Because
it could be a documentary.
It can't be like this new live action Jungle Book.
It could be like a
Lion King stuff.
what are those Netflix documentaries they have? Like the dinosaur one they had recently, where
That's
it's just
Apple
like
TV, but
CGI.
yeah.
Where
Yeah,
it's
but-
not like an animated feature. Like they don't have personalities.
But I don't want it to be realistic, because the breakup of Pangea took like billions of millions of years. Like, so
I don't think
what-
anyone's saying that
what
it's going
fun
to
is
be
that?
that.
I want these characters to like go to sleep and they wake up and like their love interest is like 10 feet away from them, like 10 feet
I
further
feel like
than
this
they were
is a
yesterday.
movie, and it's not specifically Pangea, but I feel like it is a movie.
Here's what I think.
It
I
should
think
be, right?
Andrew is pitching this on this podcast right now because
To
he's
who?
considering. I don't know. I don't know who else is listening to it, but it seems like he's doing a pitch. I think you want this to get made. Granted, that is the prompt.
Yeah.
All right, good list.
These are future Redbox classics.
Make sure to rent through Redbox. It's the only way to rent,
Unless you have another option.
unless you have any of the other options. Yeah, yeah. All right, Thomas. Tough act to follow. I mean, that was a clutch performance. Granted, you went first, so we don't know what you're being compared against. but you kind of lost at least Thomas early on. You pulled him back in, I think.
Yeah, I honestly I lost interest again, but that's just
Huge Pangea guy.
Big Pangea guy. I wanted to come back.
This
personally.
bitch don't know about Pangea.
Personally,
This bitch don't know about Pangea.
My list is random. So number 5, I want a movie about the 1975 phenomenon, which was the pet rock.
Mm.
I want to follow where it came from, and just everything. I want to know who came up with it, who allowed it,
The richest man on
and
earth.
then the millions of idiots who paid for it.
Yeah,
It's
probably
a
including our parents.
No, not my parents are. No, they're not rock people. My mom
they
only
not?
likes us to collect rocks from every state we go to.
She's more of a
Not a
John
rock
Cena
person.
woman herself.
Not a rock person. But yeah, the invention of the pet rock, and then the pet rock, the evolution of the pet rock, I guess.
Yeah, it would be a fun tale into the world of marketing and like the genius of marketing in
It'd
some
be like
ways.
funny Mad Men.
Yeah. And
So is it a TV show or a movie?
Matter Men.
This is another one. I think it could have
Rock
a very
fight.
clever title. I'll get back to you.
Rock
Rock
fight.
fight.
Yeah.
Andrew, you
have you
get back to me
seen?
on a title.
Have you seen The Founder with Michael Keaton
No, I have not.
about the founding or quote unquote the founding of McDonald's?
Yeah,
I feel like because so much of McDonald's was like it's marketing and it's branding and it's doing things that just convince people like that they're the right choice. I feel like you could do honestly cast Michael Keaton in it. Fuck it. Just keep casting him in roles as charismatic, scummy businessmen, and I will keep watching them.
when I was thinking about it, I was like, who would play the pet rock? And the first thought was Michael Keaton.
Not The
Crazy
Rock.
that you brought him up.
You didn't think
No,
about
no.
The Rock.
Rock.
He's
would
gonna be
play The
no.
Rock.
He already turned me down.
Got it. So well then you got to go to The Rock's understudy, Vin Diesel.
Michael Keaton. Yeah, so that's my number 5. All right. I just think it's it would be moderately funny. My number 4 is a little
insane. That was an
personal.
insane pick. I'm just gonna put it out there. That's an insane
Oh,
pick.
dude, they're not.
You could
you
just call it 70s rock, and then all these people would be disappointed it wasn't about music.
Andrew has been quiet because he's been sitting there.
I've been thinking-
He's
I've been thinking
literally been nodding his head back and forth and looking up to the side. So he's quite literally looking for thought bubbles.
That's how I think.
You're like a Calvin and Hobbes character.
Yeah.
But you're not Calvin.
So
You're not
Calvin
Hobbes.
or Hobbes?
No, he's not either
Two
of
of the
them. He's
characters?
clearly Calvin's dad. Because he has no
Alright.
joy.
My number 4 is a personal event.
Oh.
And it is my morning of multiple transportations just to get home. Whereas I woke up on a bench in front of a grocery store with nothing in my pockets but some cash. Bought bus tickets for me and a homeless man. Bought train tickets, got on another bus, and then rode a rent-a-bike 3 miles in the wrong direction. And then eventually got home and held on to that bike in the trunk of my car for a week because I didn't know where to return it.
What? Why do I
And
not know
think
this story?
This would be a phenomenal comedy,
Yeah,
buddy
I mean,
road trip type comedy.
this is kind of like The Hangover, but like a whole
But
movie's
better.
version of The Hangover.
Not
This
better.
is the poor, less handsome
This is the
version
poor
of The
man's
Hangover.
hangover.
There's no Bradley Cooper in this movie. Unless you cast
This is
Kevin Meekins, in which case there is Bradley Cooper in this movie.
I just, you know what? It was a crazy morning that I survived, and the next day was 3 days of crazy that I wish were documented.
Is that
I
what
just
the
did-
title of it is?
3 days of crazy.
No, that's boring, guys.
Like 7 days in hell?
It'd be like Benchwarmers 3.
Was there a Benchwarmers too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is
Oh,
it
that's-
straight to DVD? Probably. This
Straight
this
to Redbox.
straight to Redbox.
this movie sounds like it would be straight to VHS in the year 2020.
You can listen to it on a cassette, but no one wants to watch it.
This would be a Netflix movie that they would only promote for like a week.
Yeah,
But it would
no
still
one
enter the
watch
Netflix
because
top
nobody
10
knows who
because
you
that
are.
algorithm is insane.
It would be one of Adam Sandler's 15 Netflix movies.
I can absolutely, maybe just because I'm now thinking of 8 Crazy Nights, but I could absolutely see Adam Sandler both starring in and producing this film.
I think Thomas's Odyssey would be a good story to tell. It'd be entertaining. A lot of ups and downs. I lost a phone. I didn't find it till like 24 hours later. It was on someone's, it was not, spoiler alert, it was in some random backyard on their patio table.
If we had a craziest stories episode, I would like this to make that episode. I've never heard this story.
That would be a very feel good moment in the movie. It would be like if Tom Hanks reunited with Wilson when you found your phone.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was just thinking.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it could be like a Castaway type movie. You just
see. I feel like him finding his phone is like the twist of the movie, just like how Bruce Willis was the guy in that hairpiece the entire time.
There's that funny bit. It's really only like 6 hours, but every time you see me, I have a longer beard because it just seems like it's forever.
Thomas, a few minutes ago, I was ready to fund Andrew's Pangea Pixar animated film. Figure a budget somewhere between 140 million. I think you deserve more than that. I don't want a low budget thing for this. I think we got to break the bank.
I want it to be pretty low budget.
This does just more.
It's gotta be.
This does just more broadly make me think of like a parody to Castaway could be very, very funny.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure, Thomas, that you could make this movie for almost no money. You absolutely
we could make this movie.
Could spend a month and a half so that you have a different length beard, and that's the only thing that would take time because God forbid you get like a fake beard. That's the only thing that would take time, and you could film this movie yourself.
A fake beard would be better, like an obviously fake beard.
Here's the advice for people. Don't get blacked out in a place you don't know and lose the people you know. Just don't do it.
I don't think people need that advice. I think people are aware of that. Yeah, you know what? I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge. It's a good story that I haven't heard ever.
Number 3, which is nothing like the first two. I think there needs to be a biopic on Blackbeard the pirate because everyone knows of Blackbeard. And there has been like some stuff, but like there's not like a real movie about him. Everyone knows about Blackbeard, but like, did you guys know that he used to pirate in Chesapeake Bay and like Philadelphia and Baltimore? And like and like not just where he was, but the things he did and like his actions in general. Like it's insane stories. And
did you also know that Blackbeard was not that long running of a pirate? He was only a pirate
a handful of years.
For a very brief period. He just gained a lot of notoriety because basically people used him as like a boogeyman kind of figure.
Yeah.
And he kind of represented that age of like slavers and pirates and stuff like that, even though like there was a lot of other more prolific pirates.
There were so many more. Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like everyone knows the name Blackbeard, but like you don't really know the story. And like, I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I'd watch it. I love pirate shit.
Sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Always more pirate content is good.
Always more pirate.
I agree. I feel like we don't have enough pirate content. I feel like that's like a really underserved market.
Should we have next list top 5?
Like there was a period in like the early 2000s where you were getting a lot of like medieval period pieces and like your Troys and your gladiators and things along those lines. You were just getting a lot of like sword type shit. I want more pirate shit. Pirates of the Caribbean did not fill the need at all.
No, and neither does Peter Pan. A little bit.
Have you guys watched Our Flag Means Death?
I've started.
I've seen,
and I think I'm pretty sure what's his name plays Blackbeard, doesn't he? Doesn't Taika play Blackbeard?
Taika does play Blackbeard.
Yeah. But I need to make. I'm watching too much. I'm recording list night episodes. Where am I going to find the time?
Once a month.
You're 90%
once a month.
Streaming.
Oh, I record a lot of episodes by myself, watch them back, and then delete them.
Nothing has ever made me more sad.
I play all 3 roles. Yeah, that's how I know what picks you guys are going to make. I've already done this at least 3 times.
Thomas, before you move on, I thought of a name for my Pangea movie.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus
Christ. I hope you're not calling it Jesus Christ.
It's going to be called Tectonic Fates.
Tectonic Fates?
Yeah.
See, that's a good name.
That sounds like a prog rock album from the 80s.
It sounds like a comic.
I feel like Rush wrote that album
in a rushed fashion.
Yeah,
sure. Just like you made your list.
I came up with it in a rushed fashion.
Right. You did come up with it while talking about other things, so we can't expect that much from you. But in the list of creative things you've come up with, that's not making your top 30.
That's fine.
Number 2 is the 1960 inaugural hot dog eating contest. Not just the contest itself, but the preamble. Like
The
what Genius was
preamble?
like. What Genius was like. Oh man, we have so many hot dogs. We can't sell all of these. Let's have people eat them fast. Genius. And then I want to watch the contest. I want to watch the aftermath. I want to know who died because
I don't
they
think
ate
you want to watch
too
the
many hot
aftermath.
dogs.
I don't think you want to watch the aftermath.
No, but it's this thing that's been going on for over 100 years now, and it's coming up. We got like a week and a half away.
July 4th, Coney
So
Island.
yeah, I'd like to see the story of the first one.
See,
That should
I
be a 30
assume
for
Joey
30.
Chestnut and Kobayashi will be there.
That should be a 30 for
You're-
30.
That should
Yeah,
be
is
a
this like
30 for 30.
You're on the
I-
right. Go ahead.
Okay, I was imagining it as like a dramedy, but I almost feel like it'd do better as like a sports documentary.
See, I think it would actually be really funny if they played it completely straight and it was just a pure drama.
See,
They make it
not-
seem
see,
like it's like a big, larger than life sports movie, and it's guys just feeding hot dogs down their gullets.
I could see it as like a best in show, but hot dog eating contest.
If you had a Remember the Titans style, like race relations thing, like subplot in a hot dog eating movie, I would go broke going to that movie. I would see
You
it every day
eat-
of my life.
All day. I don't want to see
Yeah.
you spit up another bun.
Oh my God, just an emotion with the emotional soundtrack in the background. Oh man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I could play the coach.
Scored by John Williams.
Why would you in this Hollywood motion picture be playing the coach?
I'm motivational as fuck.
I feel like
Okay.
you'd be like, eat it.
I like so
Yeah,
you
perfect.
guys seem like you all want to be involved in the movies that are being made. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, I am not a cast member or director of any of my own movies.
This is the first one where I want to be in it.
I'm
I don't
pretty
wanna
sure
be in the one
Andrew
about
wanted
me.
to be the voice of Pangea.
Well,
Pangea doesn't have a voice.
yeah, no.
The animals have voices, maybe.
Maybe the movie ends with Pangea, with the animals convincing Pangea to come back together. Okay,
I'm
not
telling
the
you,
point.
he's workshopping it on
Not the
video.
point. Not the
He's
point.
fucking
Face.
pitching right now.
Not the point. Not the
You
point.
need
He's
it, you need
pitching.
it.
Hot
You
dogs.
need
We're on
it.
that. We're on the hot dogs. Thomas,
Never
I
all
like.
hot
I like.
dogs.
I like the ballpark. Pun intended. That you're in with the hot dogs, but
You want Kobayashi
I
Chestnut
think-
30 for 30.
I don't think the Yeah, I think a 30 for 30 has a realistic shot at.
Does it
happening 'cause-
exist? Are we sure that that doesn't exist?
I don't think so, but every year ESPN does treat it like it's like a real sports event, and they've done like a
Yeah,
sports
I mean,
science
it
on
is.
it. They've done everything but a 30 for 30, so I'm sure they will at some point. But I don't think the first hot dog eating contest would be that interesting, honestly, because I'm pretty sure the winner ate like 4 hot dogs or something. The real story is how Major League Eating screwed over Kobayashi and didn't allow him to compete anymore because they were racist and they wanted an American to win. And I'm not saying Joey Chestnut's not a great eater, he is, but there could have been a decade longer of that rivalry, and Major League Eating took it away. So that's your
Andrew,
that-
how's
that's
your
your
butt?
story.
It sounds
That-
hurt.
yeah, it
Dude,
is.
I watched Kobayashi lose. Granted, it was to a bear, but I watched him lose.
Have we done an episode where we would time travel to certain events and change them? I think we have, right?
No, we've done similar stuff.
Similar, yeah.
We
We
had
did,
one
like,
that was like
20 events we
loosely
wanna
like,
be
are we
at.
time traveling or not? Okay, well, I
Oh,
would
yeah,
like
we
to
did.
rescind one of my previous lists and say instead I want to time travel to the first hot dog eating contest, because if they ate 4 hot dogs, we absolutely would win that shit and go. They'd be like, the next guy up would be like 4, and we'd be at like, I don't know, something reasonable, 11, 12. We'd be fine.
Depends how much time they gave me.
I'm looking it up. Continue talking.
Andrew's in research. I'm just saying.
Andrew's very
Uh,
distracted this episode.
the process of how these traditions get started fascinates me, and like I'd love to see like who was like, hey, let's do this, and maybe we do it next year and for the next 100 years, because I
Yeah,
assume
I gotta
they're thinking
admit,
that far ahead.
was it? I mean, I assume. Wait, are we
was
saying
probably
the
like, hey,
start of it was like Nathan starting it, or like local fair stuff? Because I feel like people were probably doing it at fairs for like a long
No,
time.
I'm talking about like the hot dog eating contest.
Yeah,
July
Nathan's probably
4th,
had like a surplus one
1916.
year, and they were like, "Let's get some fucking fatties to eat this shit." And
And then a
then
skinny
one
person won, and they were
super
like,
ripped Asian guy
"What?"
showed up, and he was like, "I'm better than you guys at this."
Andrew's reading instead of listening to us. He is.
Uh,
He's
not
intent.
good at
He
podcasting.
is intent on his screen right now.
Uh,
I don't think
if
he knows how to read.
I don't. Okay, so
he can't figure it out.
I'm confused by this Wikipedia page. I don't know when the first one was. I know you said it was like 1920. It only goes. The results only go back to 1967, in which they said someone ate 127 hot dogs in an hour. Which that's
An
bullshit.
hour.
I don't know, but there are certain years where the winner ate like 12 hot dogs or like 9 hot dogs, 8
I
even.
literally, I type in first hot dog eating contest, and the first thing comes up is July 4th, 1916.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're correct. I think I'm looking up the Nathan's.
Maybe
hot
they
dog eating
changed.
contest,
Maybe
so
maybe they
it was-
changed
First
the
Nathan's
rules.
was
It's probably like
1926.
rule changes is what.
Yeah,
caused
no,
it.
you're right. You're right. I just think the Wikipedia
James
results-
Mullen won in 1926 the first Nathan's hot dog. He downed 13 hot dogs in 12 minutes. That is
Okay,
not
yeah.
impressive.
No, that's
That is
nothing.
not
They
impressive.
eat 13 in like 30 seconds now.
A hot dog a minute.
I would argue they don't eat 13.
They drink them.
They liquid them up and they suck them down.
Yeah,
I don't
he was
know.
probably literally
at
like-
what point are we like not eating things anymore?
He was probably legit munching on them. So
Yeah. All right. Well, look.
Anyway, good
great,
pick.
Great pick. Great pick. Clearly got us.
I feel
going.
like there was a lot of mix. We talked about it a lot, but that doesn't mean
We
anything
talked
good.
about it a lot, which makes it a great pick. And also, it's very you. It's very you. And when we get through all 5 of your picks, we can say what I thought one of your picks was going to be that I texted you about ahead of time. But I don't think it's your number one. So
It's not. I did briefly consider making my list each a hot dog I had in my life,
yeah, we know.
starting with the first and ending with the last, because that hasn't happened yet.
Have you had the last?
Have you had
I hope
3
not.
really momentous
God, I
hot
hope
dogs
not.
in between the first and the last?
Yeah, like all of them. Literally any hot dog I've ever had. Could make this list. Anyway, number one, on the same note, is the creation of Chuck E. Cheese, because that person must have been absolutely insane and so much fun to watch. Not like be around, but like to pay attention, like to watch an insane person create Chuck E. Cheese while looking at Mickey Mouse and then be like, hey, let's make animatronics things that play music and scare kids. Oh, wait, there's also pizza. Yeah, I want to watch that Funhouse movie.
Yeah, they're like really low quality. And I mean, at the time, they might have been good quality animatronics, but like the original Chuck E. Cheese, like they've got a much more like cutesy version of it now. The original one is straight out of a horror flick. Like it's
It's
awful.
an actual rat.
There's no way any kid was ever like, yeah, I want to go hang out with that. Like, no.
Yeah, and not only is the animatronic Chuck E. Cheese like creepy, but it's also a rat. Like, why do you think at a pizza place? I mean, it's an arcade, but like a pizza and arcade place, like, you know what this place needs? Rats.
Is he
Rats
still a
everywhere.
rat? I think he's a mouse now.
We don't have it.
Well, mouse, man. Well, no, he's a rat.
Is he still? I
I
don't know if
think
he
he's
is
a
still a rat.
I think they changed him to a mouse. I think you're
I
right.
I don't
he
think he
is a
can be a
mouse
mouse
now.
because isn't that wouldn't Disney sue him? You
I don't
have
think that was
animated
the
That's
issue.
true. You can't. Yeah, they probably
mouses,
would.
Mice.
They
You can't have
probably
animated
would.
mice without Disney saying okay.
Can you not?
Speaking of, I think my number 4 should be called American Tail.
Wait, what was your number 4 again?
Were they rats or were they mice? They were mice.
They were mice.
They were mice. Yeah, they were little Jewish mice fleeing the Holocaust.
Which one
It
is
was
this?
a really weirdly dark movie.
My travels.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, here's my recap of my okay list. That is
Man,
got
we're
a
not
lot of
talking about
support.
number one at all.
Well, what else is left to say? Creepy creature created by, I assume, a creepy guy who did a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And
I don't
probably
but
let's
made
be honest,
really
he probably
good
liked
pizza.
kids. Yeah, he was probably diddling kids.
But he made good pizza. I think.
Did he?
I think.
forever.
I don't remember.
I remember it being good.
I
Right?
remember as a child being like, "This is good pizza." I feel like if we were to go back now, we'd be like, "This is."
But as a
I know
child,
you don't
did
like when
ever
people
have
compare
bad
food to
pizza?
cardboard. This is gross.
Yeah.
But you also, like, as a child, thought the French bread pizza from the cafeteria was good. So
That was good. Right, you're
I-
helping
I
make my point
stand
right now. Okay,
correct.
okay, yeah. I'm on board, Thomas. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
yeah, Chuck E. Cheese. Weird.
All right,
Um,
let's give that a recap.
number 5, the invention of the pet rock, because what? Number 4, my Odyssey / American Tail.
My Odyssey.
3,
I'm saying American Tail for everyone.
3 is the actual story of Blackbeard. Not just, hey, let's use Blackbeard in a movie, but like the actual story of Blackbeard. 2 is the first hot dog eating contest,
/ the American
and
Joke.
1 is the creation of Chuck E. Cheese. Because what the fuck?
There was a animatronic rat fleeing the Holocaust, and he was like, "I got to make money in America, so let me start a."
Did he really need E as the middle initial? Why couldn't it be Chucky? Why'd it have
Because
to be Chuck
he's Charles E. Cheese.
That they named him Charlie Cheese.
But I wouldn't go to an amusement park called Charlie Cheese. I would go
But
like
you would. You would.
you would.
You just
Charles
think
E. Cheese. No, that sounds like a place to go get books.
Chuck E.
You
Cheese is no
nerd.
less weird. You just are used to it because it's how it always was.
Nah,
No,
you're wrong.
Charles E. Cheese is the arcade and pasta place. Chuck E. Cheese is the pizza place.
Charles
There's a
E.
difference.
Cheese sounds like the man who invented cheese.
Wait, no. Speaking of which, they actually remember when they were Chuck E. Cheese set up a ghost kitchen. They were selling their pizza on like DoorDash and stuff under a different.
No.
It was like
I don't remember that. I don't think anyone remembers
Yeah, no,
that.
they called it like Pasquale's Pizza or something like that, and
Sure.
people were pissed. It's like this is coming from Chuck E. Cheese, and it is Chuck E. Cheese. It was just like a ghost kitchen that they set up to deliver pizza during the
Ghost
pandemic.
kitchens are so weird. Like
Yeah,
the whole concept of it, where like all these like influencers and shit had quote unquote restaurants, but they were just ghost kitchens and they were just making like bad burgers for people and making millions of dollars doing it. Like I'm
So
sure
you're
there's
telling
good
me-
value to some ghost kitchens. I'm sure there's some really good ones, but it just like it's kind of like everyone having a whiskey now. It seemed like there was like a 3-year period where everyone had a ghost kitchen. I think
So
we
you're
had a
telling
ghost
me
kitchen.
that a ghost kitchen isn't a kitchen run by ghosts, because I am
It can
all
also
kinds
be that.
baffled.
No, it's also that. Yeah, it's
That's the movie I
Disney
want.
movie.
that's
Ghost Kitchen.
also a really good Disney movie idea.
That's a
right?
good
the movie
Disney,
I want.
right?
Ghost,
See, we're on the
just
same
Ghost
page.
Kitchen. Yeah, yeah.
That's
that
the
is
that's the Disney original.
It's
Disney
crazy
Channel original.
that despite the fire and flames that I directed at Walt Disney early in this podcast life, that they haven't thought to hire us. Because I just feel like we're coming up with better stuff than they've done recently.
Well, now that they
Soul
know we're
notwithstanding,
fans of
Soul was
Chucky and
really
not
good.
Mickey, we're fucked.
I mean, you got a Disney tattoo right on your shoulder there, Griffin.
Fuck you.
So
Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh,
You're one of those
hate that.
Disney adults,
Okay,
aren't
so the one that I thought was
He's a
going to be
Disney
Thomas.
adult.
Is like,
He's a
I'm so
Disney
angry
adult.
right now. I can't believe you just said that. I can't believe you just said
Oh,
that.
that's fucking
I'm so
phenomenal.
upset. I might have to pause and take a lap, and also get
Is
this
this gonna be-
tattoo removed. I might have
Is
to
this
get
gonna
my
be the
tattoo
second time you
removed.
throw up on camera, or what's up?
Oh, on camera? Oh, dozens of times. People pay a lot of money. The one that I thought was going to make your list that didn't was 10-cent beer night.
Yeah,
I thought
and,
that
and
you were
it
gonna
should be a
want-
movie.
I thought that you
should
were
be
going to
a
want
movie.
that to be like, I don't even know if it'd be a comedy or like a war film.
Ooh,
But if you filmed it as if it was like a war film, you get like Steven Spielberg to do that shit. Again, I would be in that
I-
movie opening night.
I thought about it. Like I said, I thought about taking things from previous lists. I thought about just doing stuff from previous lists, and that obviously crossed my mind because I would watch the shit out of any version of that movie.
Like the Community episode for the Pillows and Blankets Fort. They shot that
Yes.
like a war doc. If they did that for
Yes.
10-cent beer night,
I'm in.
Dude,
I'm
I'm in.
absolutely in. I'm
sold.
100% in.
I'm sorry.
that's a midnight release. We're going.
I will buy
Yeah.
that
One of us.
on
I'll dress as a
VHS,
dime.
DVD, and Blu-ray.
I'll dress as- Thomas, you could be a beer mug. or
And I'll be a drunk.
can.
I'll be a guy down on his luck, rooting for the wrong team, getting in fights at the movie theater. Granted, I'll be that every night before and after that as well. But that night only, it's going to be a costume.
God, if they make that a movie and they don't have 10-cent beer night at the theater as they're airing it, what are they doing? What are they
Truth to fiction, or fiction to truth. It fucking turns into another riot.
Yeah, the movie screen just has
No
like,
one could have predicted it.
flashes.
Oh,
All
didn't
right.
see this coming.
Yeah, no one could have seen this coming. Especially with inflation being what it is. 10 cents for a beer at this point is such a better deal than it was back then.
Such a good deal.
It was a good deal then. Now it's fiscally irresponsible. Now you're taking such a wash on beer at that point.
Yeah, but who has dimes?
Yeah.
You got to buy 10 at a time.
get rid of coin currency. Is my mentality. All right, let's jump into my list. Pretty different from yours. I'm gonna.
You still have another one to do?
Me? Yeah, my list.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got my. We can skip it. You want to skip it? You want to just give
No,
me
I
the
just
win
feel
this
like
week?
I just feel like mine was so good and Andrew's so blah. Like, why did we add a third?
Thomas, have you
Yeah.
worn that hat before?
Probably.
I think so. I think he's been because I talked about his
I've had
head
it a
being
while.
cylindrical, and that's why he wears hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't mean like earlier tonight. He meant just like previously.
It's pretty funny, especially in the context of recording list night.
Yeah. We made a lot of fashion choices on this pod. Thomas made a good one. I'm wearing a wife beater, so I made a bad
The
one.
Griffin one.
A pretty bad one. Got to show off that Disney tattoo. All right. Number 5 on my list. And number 5 on my list is one that I was telling you guys ahead of time. I think it's appeared on one of your lists before, but I can't remember. And it may have just been mentioned in some context. But number 5 on my list is the Great Emu War, where Australia tried to cull emus with machine guns following World War I. And 6 days after they started, they'd spent 2,500 rounds of ammo, and not a single emo was emo.
Emo.
Yeah, they didn't kill any emos.
You can't get rid of those emos.
They couldn't
Just
get
the
rid of the
Great
emus,
Emu
but not a
War,
single
Great
emu
Emo
was killed,
War.
and they literally declared it a victory for the emus. And I went a little bit farther with all mine, kind of like you guys were with like the animated and like what kind of genre you were going for. For some of these, I picked who I'd like to either direct it or write the script for it. And so for this one, I'd take Armando Iannucci, who did Death of Stalin. He did Veep. He did Avenue 5. He did a lot of like satirical comedy things that make politicians and bureaucrats look awful, because this event makes politicians and bureaucrats look awful.
So
only 4 episodes ago, Andrew.
So remember, this was my number 5 on our courtside moments list. So
Was it? Okay. I
Yeah.
knew it was in my head for some reason.
But that's fine. But keep in mind that if this movie's made, I need to be a part of it, just as an innocent bystander.
You're getting a producer credit, my friend.
Well, no, I just need to be in the movie as a guy eating popcorn because I'm there for. Remember, this is the list night.
Because we did time travel.
The list night universe is all like canon. So anything in a previous list affects these lists. So I'll be
sure.
It should be noted that my number 5 for that same list was 10-cent beer night.
So something about that list just spoke to me, I guess.
Really running out of content.
You said this was 4 episodes ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's like 6 months.
Yeah.
That was 2021. We've had a rough year.
It was February.
Yeah, we haven't had the best content here. You guys remember quick lists?
Yeah.
What?
I said,
Quick
remember quick lists.
I do. RIP. Yeah. Well, this year we were going for quality. And we didn't achieve that, but
Did we agree to that?
but we were going for it.
Who said that?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my number 5. I think we might have spoken about it all 4 episodes ago. But if you got any takes on it,
I would watch the shit out of this movie. Mainly to see just idiots lose to emus or emos, whichever direction they want to go.
It could be both. It could have a sequel. It could be like Sharknado 2.
The return of the emos.
Yeah.
Would there?
It's not a phase, Mom.
Would any of the emus be like? Would we dive into their character development at all, or no?
No, I think it's funnier if they don't have any character development. If they're kind of just like this, like inexorable like force that like they're just an unstoppable, immovable object that
Can they be like Roadrunner, like in Looney Tunes? Like,
they're kind of like a force of nature. It's like a disaster movie, like 2012 or something like that, except instead of it being the end of the world, it's just emus just winning wars, winning battles.
See, I think you either go that route or you go like a Kangaroo Jack route.
The which route?
Kangaroo Jack. Classic.
Where they misadvertised it and people thought they were going into a movie about a talking kangaroo.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Did they misadvertise that?
Yeah,
anyway,
you don't know
I'm here
that?
for it. I'd watch it.
Yeah, they
I don't care.
they started filming it one way. They started filming it as an R-rated feature, and then they realized they were going to lose a lot of money on it, so they turned it into a family-friendly like kids film and cut a lot of content out of it. And in the trailers for it, like before the movie came out, there's like multiple different periods in the trailer where there's a talking kangaroo involved in it, which is only in the movie for like 90 seconds during like a fever dream that one of the characters are having. but like parents took their kids to this movie thinking that it was going to be a movie about a talking kangaroo, and instead it's a movie about like two fuck ups in Australia just getting lost in the wilderness. Like it's just like tonally ridiculous.
But here's my thing. I want to see the R-rated version.
Oh, absolutely. I think the R-rated version would be so much better. Like
Yeah,
because at one point it was like a black comedy. Like I think that would be way funnier.
Here's the thing. The age group of people who watch Kangaroo Jack as kids.
Yeah, we're
now
all in our 30s.
Want
now.
to see the R-rated version?
Yeah.
Redbox,
so
the emo movie will be R-rated.
Like how they've got like the Snyder cut of Justice League. Give me the Snyder cut
of the Commanders
of Kangaroo Jack.
Yes.
Just really gritty and gray, and for some reason Batman.
I know that's not your number 5, but I'm in for that and your number 5.
I want that one. I want that one.
Okay. Again, Kangaroo Jack, not based on real events, but sure.
What?
Okay, number 4 on my list, getting a little historical with this one. Yuri Gagarin and the first successful trip to and back from space. I don't know if you guys saw First Man with Ryan Gosling, but I kind of imagine it being done in this style, but from the perspective of the USSR, which we don't get a lot of like big theatrical movies about, because obviously Hollywood, being an American like film institution, don't make a lot of movies about the bad guys of, you know, global history for 30 years. But I think it'd be really cool if we saw something from the perspective of like a non-American space organization.
You would say that, you fucking commie.
I am
Right?
a fucking commie. And I think it'd be cool if it was done by Denis Villeneuve, same guy that did Dune, Arrival. He's done a bunch of stuff, all very good films. Did Blade Runner 2049. Super cool director, really good with visuals.
If I had taken seriously our predictions, Something for Space would have been on my list for your list.
Yeah.
I don't know like any of the story, but I would consider watching it.
I would watch it because I think
Probably wouldn't.
it's going back to my love of dysfunction. I think there was a lot of dysfunction with the USSR's space programs and the US's, but like especially with
people died,
especially with the Soviets. They just launched people into space and just like hope for the best. Then they
Fingers crossed.
People, monkeys, dogs.
Didn't they send people to
Dogs.
Didn't they send people to Venus at one point? Like literally instant death. Like
I don't know if
or
they
was that-
sent people.
or was that a
I
myth?
think at one point, I think they sent I want to say they sent dogs. They
Yeah.
attempted to send them to Venus. I don't think they were successful, but I think
Yeah,
they sent
here's the
dogs.
thing. If you don't try, you don't know if you can do it. For all we know, those dogs are living on Venus happily. Still believing Pluto is a planet.
Let's
For all we know is that they likely are not. For
Venus
a lot
is
of
populated
reasons.
by
yeah.
Even
Not-
before we get to the Venus part of the equation, I don't think they're living happily there.
no dogs from that time period are living. Period. So
except for the ones
But
on,
all dogs
no,
do
no,
go
it's
to
different
heaven,
ones
so.
on Venus. It's different ones on Venus.
Yeah.
All dogs go to Venus.
But yeah, I think I just, you know, not a whole lot of like comedy to this one. I just think it'd be a really cool movie.
Yeah.
And I really loved First Man. I thought it was a really cool film. I love Ryan. Honestly, if they had Ryan Gosling play him as well, and he played both the top USSR cosmonaut and the top US astronaut,
You're it.
I'm in. I was in even before Ryan Gosling was in the film. It's my idea.
All
All right, number 3, keeping with the history, and we're going to be keeping with the history the rest of the way, but a little bit more violent. The assassination of John F. Kennedy, and I don't really want it to be documentary style because I feel like there's been so many documentaries about this, particularly like the shooter on the grassy knoll and all that. Like, I'd just like to see kind of the preceding and the subsequent events told from like a theatrical perspective. And in terms of who I'd like to direct it, Paul Greengrass, the guy that did the Jason Bourne movies and Captain Phillips. I think he would, like, there'd be a lot of jump cuts, and maybe Kennedy would be like a little bit more athletic than maybe he was in reality. And the Secret Service agents would be like, oh, Jesus Christ, it's John F. Kennedy. But I'd watch it.
See, also 4 episodes ago, you had
on
this
your
on your
list.
list.
Was it? Am I having a stroke?
I think you're just remembering that episode.
I have no recollection of that one. Clearly.
Oh fuck.
You wanted to be oh, right, because you wanted to see his head explode.
No, you.
I wanted to see his head explode.
So
You had it on your list.
I'm sure. I'm trying to think if I've seen a movie about JFK assassination. I'm sure there's a ton of them, which is why I
Here's
didn't
my
really
thing.
consider it. I went.
I
like,
know
more
how it
obscure.
ends.
True.
Well, I mean, you could go after it. You do like the investigation into the second shooter and all that.
I know how that ends.
Do you?
I mean, I could find out.
I guess the investigation was either unsuccessful or buried.
You could do it. You could do it like the movie Vantage Point, where you just keep rewinding
Ooh.
and doing it from everyone's different vantage point, except you work in all the conspiracy theories too as options as well.
I haven't seen that one. Who's in Vantage Point? What's that about?
The dude from Lost,
Matthew Fox,
Matthew Fox, right?
And
the
then
main guy from Lost.
Yeah, and
I
then
think that's Matthew
other
Fox.
people you would recognize.
Fishburne.
Dennis Quaid?
Lawrence
Fishburne.
Matthew Fox, and Dennis Quaid. And I've never heard of this movie.
Maybe not
Yes.
Dennis, but I remember I saw it in theaters.
Dennis-
It's actually I feel like an underrated movie.
Dennis Quaid is in the movie.
One of the Quaids.
Yeah.
I'm
Tom,
pretty sure it's
did we see it together?
Dennis Quaid.
I remember seeing
Probably.
it.
I think
We've
the
done a
only
lot of
way the
things
two of
together.
you saw this movie is if you saw it together, because
Yes.
I've never even heard of this movie, and
If
I'm usually
you're-
like pretty up to date on movies.
Yeah, no, 2008.
Dennis Quaid, Forrest Whitaker.
I was busy that year. Forrest Whitaker,
Not-
you said Lawrence
not
Fishburne.
Lawrence Whitaker. Forrest
I-
Whitaker.
Racist.
Matthew Fox, Sigourney Weaver.
You think they're
William
casting
Hurt,
Forrest Whitaker as Morpheus? Come on, man.
I don't
Edgar
think
Ramirez. No, it's a good movie. It's like I feel like it never. I don't know.
well, yeah,
really
why did I
good.
think Lawrence Fishburne was in it? He's not.
Because you're a
You're
racist. Because
You're
you're a
racist.
racist.
Jesus Christ.
I
let's be
think
clear,
it's very obvious to all of
I have
us.
not seen it since I saw it in theaters in 2008, and I disagree with Thomas. I didn't think it was that great of a movie. But
Well, I look
Yeah.
forward to it being on one of my
It's a-
lists for
I should say
podcasts
this.
from now, and Andrew assuming that Will Smith was in the movie.
I think
Jesus Christ.
I think it's a really good concept, and I feel like that's why I like it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lawrence Fishburne doesn't do bad movies.
Hmm.
Fortunately, he didn't do that one. So who's to say?
Lawrence Fishburne and Forrest Whitaker are nothing alike, other than
They're
that-
nothing alike. They don't
other
take
than-
anywhere similar roles.
Other than
They're
that, they
both
have.
black men, which goes back to Andrew being racist.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I
To be
feel
fair,
like
I could not
that
remember
based,
who it was either.
based on the concept that you just said, that does sound more like a Lawrence Fishburne role than it does a Forrest Whitaker role.
Yeah.
No, because if you saw the role,
I
The
feel
role
like
wouldn't
Forrest
fit that.
Whitaker at that point was doing like Last King of Scotland, and
This
that,
was like-
was an Oscar nominee.
I feel like he plays like a dad who's just videotaping on a camcorder. if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
yes, that sounds
Like
right.
he's just in the crowd.
He's very much like innocent bystander, not like
Yeah.
not like an action hero in any way.
What happens in this movie? Give me the brief rundown.
So there's an assassination attempt, and then like when they're trying to solve it, you see like it goes back to the point again and again. You see different vantage points of it.
Sure.
Like it literally like rewinds on the movie.
At some point, do they
It's
say
like-
we need to find everyone else's vantage point? Because I love when they reference the title of a film. in
No,
a
they
film.
didn't do that. But I do
No,
remember them
why would they do
rewinding.
that?
Sounds like some kind of Suicide Squad.
I remember them rewinding a hilarious amount of times because I remember in the theater there was like groans at one point because they did it for like the 10th time.
Just let it end.
Yeah.
We don't
Okay,
need
maybe
to
it
feature
wasn't
every
good.
star.
I take back my it was good. I feel like I remember enjoying it.
I don't remember how it ended, to be
Sure,
honest.
sure. All right. Well,
Uh,
I Vantage Point the film is better than my pick, I guess.
We keep, I don't remember what your pick is. We keep getting off track.
I don't remember what my
JFK.
pick. Oh yeah,
It's JFK.
Assassination of John F.
Oh, yeah.
Kennedy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right.
You have some weird thing about watching this man die.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know what it is about me, but I really like
Yeah, I
watching
don't-
Kennedy die. And I have no beef with Kennedy.
It's not
He's a
leave you.
Kennedy.
It's not leave you alone in a theater.
I've
when
always kind of
this movie
compared
comes out.
myself to a Kennedy in looks and stature and political aspirations. So no one else has, but I have.
I can't wait for the actual Emu War. I assume you're gonna die in it.
Yeah, I would. Number 2 on my list is in its own way. This one's for Andrew, and I don't think it's been on anybody else's list, but maybe it was on last episode's list. I have no idea. Number 2 is the final days of Washington's presidency and the writing of his farewell address. And while I don't really think his style fits this time period, I would really love if this film was written by Aaron Sorkin and everyone in Washington's inner circle had Sorkin style dialogue, because I love Aaron Sorkin, and I love his douchey, like, everyone is the smartest guy in the room dialogue. And honestly, it does kind of work for like the founding fathers, because they were legitimately the smartest guys in any room they were in. But I feel like we don't really focus that much on how important the end of Washington's presidency and the way he left office was for the nation as a whole. Like, we talk about it a little bit, how he like voluntarily like left power, but like we don't really think about it as anything other than like a concept. And I'd be down for some more George Washington films.
I would not cast myself. He was too scared to continue being president. It wasn't for the nation.
That's
he was
bullshit.
Being a bitch.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what you want to say on this episode. I don't know if Andrew might
George Washington ain't scared of nothing. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole song in Hamilton about it, One Last Time. But yeah, this would be a good film. Yeah, good.
That's really all I wanted.
I don't know about Sorkin. I just feel like
it'd be so douchey.
His writing would just take you out of the period piece of the period piece.
Sure.
Which isn't the worst thing, except it sometimes is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd kind of be like Iannucci when he did Death of Stalin. Like, he wrote them as if they were modern, like, comedians, essentially, because he wrote for the people in the roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, every Sorkin character sounds like Aaron Sorkin, except snappier.
Yeah.
You could have everybody else sound like Aaron Sorkin and still have George Washington sound like George Washington.
like literally in 1776, like dialect, or I guess 1790 whatever.
Sure.
Like the way that they spoke back then, diction.
Yeah, I trust you to know what year he abdicated the presidency.
Yeah. I think this one would be better as a Pixar movie too.
Of course you do.
If we were talented filmmakers, and that's a big if.
If we were talented is where the sentence should end.
Yeah,
that if is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this sense, but I think it'd be a fun game for us to like suggest a movie like this, and then someone else has to pick the genre that we film it in. So you would say, George Washington farewell address, and I would say Pixar movie.
So not only would we have to be talented filmmakers, but at least one of us would have to have animation experience.
Oh yeah, we need
and have an entire studio behind us.
Exactly.
I took an animation class. We're good.
I think at one point George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, they didn't have like that kind of competition, but I think they had a competition on. I think they had like competing films or something like that coming out around the same time. And they both took like points on the back end off each other's films because they like offered ideas on it. Yeah, if we were talented, I would pitch shit all the time that you guys would have to do.
We could start every sentence with that. If we were talented.
If we were talented. Yeah.
Blankety, blankety, blank.
If this were someone's first episode of our podcast that they listen to, I don't know if they would hate us more than we hate us, but they would probably hate us.
Oh, yeah. That's all accurate.
Yeah.
That's all accurate.
All right, let's end this bitch. Number one on mine, the 9 days of Frank Luke in World War I. He was an American aviator. He was a pilot, and he was basically like think of fucking Maverick in Top Gun. He was essentially that character, like the fucking reckless loner who just put himself in ridiculous situations because he was super confident in himself. But he was a real person during one of the bloodiest wars in world history. And over the period of 10 missions in 9 days, he shot down 14 enemy balloons, because back then they still used balloons, and 4 aircraft. And he had his final mission and was shot down in France. And there was a whole story for a long time about him being shot down and being found with a bullet hole in his chest and 7 enemy combatants around him that were all dead. But it's horseshit. But taking a little bit of artistic license, I wouldn't mind ending the film with that one. And to direct it, I'd take a guy who's kind of put upon a little knocked around, David Ayer, who did Suicide Squad, which sucks, but also did Street Kings and Fury with Brad Pitt, which I think would be a good style to do this in, because Fury was fucking awesome.
I'm into this. The one thing I would say is I can't not laugh at people using balloons in a war.
Yeah, dude, World War One was weird.
Insane. Nuts.
Yeah.
Would you say this movie would be closer to Saving Private Ryan or Tropic Thunder?
The personality of a character in Tropic Thunder, but the sheer goriness and oh my god, war is horrible of Saving Private Ryan.
So Ben Stiller,
Ben Stiller's
Saving Private
character,
Ryan.
like the one that he's playing and all,
played by Tom Cruise.
Sure.
Your answer is exactly what I thought you were thinking, which is why I asked the question the way that I did.
yeah. I think that movie would be really fucking metal. Honestly, have Brad Pitt play this role too. Like, yeah, is the guy in his early 20s and Brad Pitt's like 55? Sure, but give Brad Pitt the same like fucking side fade and slick back hair that he had in Fury. I'd watch him be a fighter pilot for 10 glorious days.
I'll tell you this: your middle three, I don't care about.
All right.
This should be your 2, and Emu War should be your 1.
I'll be honest with
I
you.
stand by that.
I
Kangaroo Jack should be
wanted
3.
Emu War to be on our top 5s.
You did a little bit too much repetition from previous episodes for my liking.
Yeah.
Actually, just from one specific previous episode.
I think I'm starting to lose my mind.
Your list is fine. It's fine. It has George Washington, so I'm not going to say it's bad.
I'll say it's bad.
Were you going to take any predictions on who's going to win this one before I give my recap?
No, we'll do it after.
Because I feel like the predictions we did at the top of the episode were pretty on point.
I think Andrews is going to win because mine doesn't make any sense. Yours is I don't know, a little boring in the middle.
Sure. I also
Andrews
think Andrews really started it off with a bang.
And yeah, Andrews LeBron brings in the sports people. The Commanders brings in sports people.
The people
Trump
that hate
brings in
bad
everyone.
people.
Pluto brings in everyone, and then Pangea. Who doesn't love Pangea?
How about for the Pluto movie, something like Dwarf
Stop
Among
pitching.
Dwarf Among Planets? Nah, not good.
You doing a Family Guy joke? Midget among
Yeah.
dwarfs, or dwarf among midgets. All right, let me give my recap. Number 5, Great Emu War. Number 4, Yuri Gagarin and the first successful trip to and back home from space. Number 3, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, both preceding and subsequent events. We don't even need to see his head get blown up. I just like to watch what's around it. Number 2, the final days of
brain.
Washington's presidency and the writing of his farewell address. And number 1, the 9 days of Frank Luke in World War I prior to his inevitable demise.
That was a solid joke, Thomas. That-
Ninth planet.
You see, I
comma,
honestly, I want to
no
say it.
more?
That's what I was setting you guys up for, and I'm surprised I'm happy that he interrupted to make the joke.
Yeah, and the more,
I'm good at anything. It's interrupting to make a joke.
yeah, and the more you describe the JFK one, you got to do it in the style of Vantage Point. Go watch Vantage Point.
Go watch Vantage.
film classic that I've never even heard of. Vantage Point. We got to do it.
It's a Lawrence
Do it
Fishburne
again.
classic.
Everyone knows Lawrence Fishburne's top 2: Vantage Point and The Matrix.
It's not.
and you know, the remake of Aladdin where he played the genie.
Where can I watch Vantage Point?
Redbox.
Tubi.
Oh, it's on Tubi. Tubi's free.
Tubi's free.
Tubi's free. You get ads. You
I
get
thought
ads. We're not sponsored by Tubi, but I would fucking love to be.
I'd love
Nice.
to.
All the Transformers shows are on Tubi. You even get Beast Wars and the sequel to Beast Wars.
They're not paying us, Griffin. They're not paying us. They're not.
Yeah,
Redbox.
stop.
I'm just saying, guys, don't
Stop pitching.
undersell
Stop pitching.
Tubi. Tubi's a pretty good app.
I thought
No one
Thomas-
undersold it. No
Thomas,
one
when you-
undersold it.
When you Googled where can I watch Vantage Point, I thought Google was just going to say don't.
That'd be
And
a
then
really
rewind.
if he Googled that and that was Google's response, I feel like we would need to get in contact with Google, the company, because this might be the start of Terminator 1. if Google's now offering opinions on what films we should watch, we're like 3 days away from them being like, you know what, nuclear codes are pretty neat.
We don't know how their algorithms work. They're giving opinions every day.
Yeah,
True.
I guess. I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Yeah, I think Andrew's gonna win this one. I think I'm gonna take a strong third.
But honestly,
You know what? Fuck
I
that.
feel like-
I'm winning. I'm clutch.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have thought that for the last few, and I've been not performing well lately
In,
What else is new?
in the episode or generally?
in the results. In the episode, I've performed great every time, but in the results, like
You spent half this episode on Google and
You spent half
thinking
this episode trying to
thinking of
figure out how Zoom
taglines
works.
for films that we're not gonna make.
I know I can do better. I'll get back to you. You know what?
You're not even knowing on your own computer.
I'm gonna take over the List Night Instagram account. By take over, I mean just log into it.
Log
and,
in.
and
You already
record-
have access to it. You never
and
didn't have access to it.
and record a story where I talk about what my actual final names of all these movies are. Because
I
think that's
absolutely
important.
hope that you do that.
I think you guys
Please
should do
post it
too.
before we post this so everyone knows your list and they can just skip it.
We'll do it after.
Except for my jokes.
We'll do it
during-
after we post it.
I'm sure I have like 2 weeks. We won't post this for a while.
I'm gonna try and post this one soon. This is inside baseball. We don't need to talk about this on the episode. If you
Cut it,
are
cut
listening
it,
to
cut
the
it,
episode
cut it,
right
cut it.
now, whether you're listening on Spotify or I almost said Pandora, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or,
Or
any other audio
VHS.
platform, make sure you follow us on your preferred platform. Make sure you rate and review if you're able to do so. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, click that like button. Wow. Click that like button. Smash the shit out of that like button.
Like that,
Comment
like,
below. Comment below. And subscribe because
Why'd
you know.
Why'd you both turn into like wannabe Gen Zers just now?
Well, first off, I am a wannabe Gen Zer. Second off, I stuttered and I tried to cover it by being a douchebag, which is how I usually cover my stutters. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning
Gen
in.
Zs don't believe in Pluto, so I don't believe in them.
Sure. That's a weird way to end this episode.